Hey, this is Oteil. If you're liking what you're hearing, head on over to patreon.com/comes a time pod and get your bus pass for an extra episode every week. What's up, Comes a Time, fellow travelers? That's Mike.
And that is Oteil. And boy, oh boy, do we have a great one for you today. Who do we have, Oteil?
We had the iconic Wavy Gravy, who I've hung out with since old Allman Brothers days, and I just didn't know really all of who he was, you know. And then as I started researching him and listened to an interview, about a 40-minute interview that he did to get some background on him, and then he mentioned his documentary, which fans go watch it. It's on Amazon, I think. It's called Saint Misbehavin'. Wow. He's had like 10 amazing lives. Like you can pull 10 things out that are all amazing, which would have been cool enough for one life.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I mean, and you know what's kind of wild too is if you think about it, and you know, I don't want to give away any spoilers, but it's just like from where he began.
Yeah,
like
as a poet.
Yeah, even before that, as a little child, and like how like it almost kind of seems like he had like an orb around him that just drew. I mean,
oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, we won't spoil that one.
Even spoil. I mean, just oh my God! But want to know something that's so crazy too is that, you know, in thinking about doing this interview with him, I can't even begin to remember how many festivals I've been to that he was there. Gathering of the Vibes. Like he would just be there on stage in between, like, you know, Les Claypool's set and whoever else was, but Carl Denson's set or whatever. There's Wavy. And it was just like he's been at so many different things. And I remember, I think I met him in the tent with Family Dog, the folks back from that scene, like maybe Chet Helms and all of them. And he was just there, just hanging out and just like a living limerick, you know, like just, he just,
that's what I thought. He was just like, and he plays it up like a court jester.
Yeah.
He would announce things. I knew he had to save a foundation. I was like, okay, he's doing that. But I didn't realize the depth, like him, you know, starting at this scene in Greenwich where, I mean, he tells a story in the documentary. He's like, he convinced this guy to have some folk music along with the poetry readings. And the guy didn't want to do it. He's like, come on, loosen up, man. So he has, this guy comes in, he goes, okay, this guy's a legend in his own time. His name is, what's your name, kid? And he goes, oh, Bob Dylan. He goes, Bob Dylan. You know, he's a nobody at this point, right? Yeah. And then they end up being roommates above the club.
Yep.
And he wrote an iconic song on Wavy's typewriter that he was writing poetry on. This kind of
in the wind,
morphs into like something in between stand-up and just performance art. And then he's opening for like Coltrane and Monk and Coleman Hawkins. And I'm like, wait a minute. And we hadn't even got to the West Coast where he started doing acid and hanging with Lenny Bruce and then the Hog Farm and then the Pranksters and
and Woodstock and the whole thing.
And Woodstock and like everything along the way is just amazing. The free kitchen thing is where I really got onto it, where he's like doing this, like providing food for huge groups of people but like getting everybody to like give food and pitch in and help out and just like, and all along the way, he just kept doing it, you know? With a foundation or Camp Winter Rainbow, where just like, he's just this force for transformation, like uber idealistic transformation realized.
Yes.
And right before your eyes, over and over again. I'm just like, what kind of mystical force is inside this guy? You know?
Well, and it's that whole thing of just being like selfless and fun all in one like thing, you know, like it's not going and banging on corporate doors. It's like, hey guys, we're helping cure blindness, play a concert, bring joy to these people. And we can also help raise money for this amazing cause. And it's so interesting to think about too, the fact that, you know, coming up through the psychedelic era, he figured out a way to kind of not cure a bad trip, but he figured out the antidote of going like, what is your name? And then he'd say their name and go, your name is Dave. You took LSD and it's going to wear off. And it was just like the simplest. It's like he somehow has like encapsulated simplicity too, where it's just like we talked about earlier. It's just about about love and about happiness and about like, he's just that embodiment of it. Like that performance art. He's just one of those people who became his art. You know, I mean, Kesey said like he thinks that it's in every man to be as large as they think they can be. And that largeness can be selflessness and sharing and helping and all of that. And that's what Wavy. Yeah, absolutely.
And he says this prayer at the beginning of this documentary that just, and it's the very beginning. I was so inspired and the thing hadn't even started yet. And I was like, oh my God, this guy is like lasering in on exactly what I need to hear and feel. And he's just super inspiring, super duper duper inspiring. My kids are definitely going to go to Camp Win a Rainbow before it's over, man. I gotta be there and feel that. Like seeing it in the movie is just like, wow. He did it again, you know? He did it again. It's just amazing, man.
Well, and when you think about this, when you think about that scene and the revolution and the whole, like, you know, consciousness expansion and all of that, it needs a jester. It needs that uncle that's going to make sure the kids are safe and that everyone eats and that like caretaker. He kind of made sure everyone was taken care of in both a cosmic way and in, you know, tangible bread and water kind of, you know,
or psychologically, physically, every kind of way. Like that's his mission. He looks like this clown and so many people are being empowered and inspired and taking care of each other in every kind of way imaginable, from giving sight to the blind I was like, this is how the miracles in the Bible worked. Like, this is how loaves and fishes were multiplied. I'm convinced. Like, he proved you could do it right now. He's still doing it. I mean, he's just, I can't say enough about this guy.
Yeah.
I think his wife. Janahara, that's how you pronounced it?
I believe so, yeah. Jahara.
Janahara, it's already left me, but she said the most amazing thing in the documentary. She said, you know, I realized at a certain point that we could do it if we were in charge. Like, we could make it happen.
Yeah.
If we, you know, like, it's because the power structures were always trying to come down on them, you know?
Yeah.
And they're just trying to help. You know?
I know. They're just trying to feed people.
Yeah, but they still did it. Like, they did it at Woodstock, and we were like, well, if we could do it there, we could do it.
I know,
you know, and then they just went full speed ahead. It's like, wow.
It never stopped.
I was like, they showed me, like, I know better how I'm going to raise my kids now. Like, I'm kind of doing it, but, like, now my intention is... They just like pulled it off over and over and over again. They're super inspirational.
Well, and hopefully this episode could be a companion piece to the documentary, you know? So like folks, definitely please go check it out. And he's another example of one of the folks in this existence that chose fun and he's living long.
Yeah.
Know what I mean?
Chose
like
compassion and love.
And he's living long.
On purpose and went hard, like a bullseye, laser focused on it.
Yeah.
And just couldn't be stopped over and over again. And still doing it. I mean, got me lit. I had a rough morning. You know, my pop just died, man. Every morning I got to wake up and crawl back out of the hole and look at me. I'm just like, you know. And he gave me what I needed, pure inspiration. I hope everybody goes and watches this documentary after you see this podcast. It's called Saint Misbehavin' on Amazon.
And I don't think it's a mistake that we happen to be recording this on Bob Dylan's birthday, his old roommate either. So I think that's pretty incredible. These things don't happen as accidents. So
it's amazing.
Thank you to Wavy and his team for helping put this together, and thank you for joining us. That was, yeah. I mean, we just got to spend some time with like a piece of history. So
yeah, for real. I got to go find my red nose.
I know. Yeah, totally.
He gave me one.
See the picture. Yeah, the
case.
picture will be up with all the socials. So thank you guys so much for listening. We're here on Osiris, home to so many great podcasts. You can go to osirispod.com to check them out. And you could come over to patreon.com/comesatimepod for a bonus episode each week. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you out on tour, see you out on the road, starting soon. And thank you again to Wavy. Peace.
Speak to me with your eyes and face and whole visage. Give it to me. Lay it on me. I'm ready.
Happy belated birthday.
It is. I'd be 86, which is when they usually kick you out of the club.
Hey, Wavy, that is Mike. That's Mike Finoia. He is my partner in crime and stand-up comedian, fellow stand-up comedian.
Love you, Wavy. Thank you for being here with us today.
Mm-hmm.
It was so sweet. On my birthday, the band Zero sang "Forever Young" to me on the stage. I had a serious meltdown.
Oh, I just did some gigs with Steve Kimmott. Love him and Jenny to death, man.
Are you feeling forever young?
Yes.
Good. It's Bob Dylan's birthday today, too. We're recording this on Dylan's birthday.
It is the freewheeling foot tapper from Hibbing.
I was just watching your movie, Saint Misbehaving. And my mind was just blown over and over and over again.
And I married the girl from the North Country.
It's great. You were talking about when Bob was your roommate. Can you talk about that time when you were doing poetry down there?
We had a room up over the gaslight. In fact, "Hard Rain Was Gonna Fall" was written on my typewriter.
Wow. Man, that's amazing. That's really wild. How did you guys catch up?
Ketchup mustard? What ketchup? Where are we?
How'd you guys relish? How did you meet? How did you and Bob meet?
Oh God, it was just around the gaslight. Everybody went to the gaslight. It was the place to go to in Greenwich Village back in the day, and we just absorbed each other back then. He was just a jolly dude. And he always had something to say about everything. Except he was a little paranoid. We'd be walking along and he'd say, hey, duck in the doorway. Then see that guy over there? I said, yeah, well, let's wait until he leaves. But Bob, we don't know who he is. No, let's just wait here.
Wow.
It was hilarious.
I love thinking about Greenwich Village in that time period and all the art and all of the people, so many talented and important people were around during that time. Ginsberg, Kerouac, all the jazz.
Absolutely.
So many incredible
They played
folks.
the gaslight before us. They warmed it up for us, and then we took over. And "Hard Rain's Gonna Fall" was written on my rusty, trusty Remington in that little room up over the gaslight.
So is that around the same time that you were hanging with Lenny Bruce?
Oh, yeah. And later than that, Lenny Bruce was 8825 Hollywood Boulevard and the whole other area of colorful California at the other end. That was the top end. And the Bay Area was on the bottom, I guess. But Lenny's place, it was great. It was totally surrounded by barbed wire, except the driveway was always wide open. So it kind of defeated its purpose.
Yeah, that sounds like
Lenny became your manager, was your manager.
Lenny Bruce was my manager, and then he proceeded to get busted at this hobby store with a little bit of this and that. And so I ended up getting people. I'd run around and say, "Hey, lady, can you type? Get in the car." And we'd constantly be typing up briefs for his lawyer named Dolan.
Volunteer legal work.
Lenny was magnificent. Let me tell you.
He really
So
was.
that was all after your Village period then. Because I don't want to skip too far ahead, because one of the things I saw is that...
Before or during. It was probably during, back and forth. It's from the cement apple back to colorful California, and zip zap here and there. But I evolved on MacDougall Street, and then reading my poetry first at the Gaslight, and then it just turned into weird stuff. And this guy said, "Hey, skip the poetry and just talk about your weird stuff." And he put me in a suit and started mailing me around the country, doing this and that, and spewing my life story.
That's great. So is that what I saw in the documentary, that at one point in New York, you were opening for like Coltrane and
Thelonious Monk.
Yeah, I was just like, what? So was that the poetry, or was that more of like the stand-up type stuff?
It was this and that. And Monk's middle name, check this out, Sphere.
Sphere, yeah.
Wow.
I adored him. And we were friendly, good friends. He'd sometimes put my hats on. He loved hats.
He did.
And God, could he crawl over a keyboard? He was probably the best piano player on earth. Or Uranus.
It's just like, it seems like you've had like 10 different people's amazing lives, you know? So when I was watching this, I was just like, what? Because I met you a long time ago, probably with the Allman Brothers. And wow, I just had no idea. I was like, he opened for Monk and Train and all these guys. And then one thing after another, then Lenny Bruce. And there's, you know, it was just like, my mind is blown.
And what's left of mine?
We talked to Mountain Girl. We talked to Mountain Girl here on the podcast, and she said that, you know, all the people that are game, like all the people that are willing, you know, everything, the scene finds it, and there's a place for everyone. And it's really awesome to think about, you know, like where your place was and all of that. It was, you were a very important, you know, beacon of hope and light for a lot of people at a lot of different times.
Mountain Girl was standing next to me when we heard about the demise of John Lennon, and shared tears on the stairs of our Berkeley domain. His demise in our domain. Good grief. It was a rough one.
Yeah.
You've been through a lot of those, it seems, in the years that have passed.
My epitaph is happy birthday.
Were you always this like, was it innately super uber optimistic, or I don't even know what the word is for it. Like,
when I was 6, I get to stroll around the block with Albert Einstein, who asked my mom if he could take me for a stroll because I looked like a little midget Winston Churchill. I did. I absolutely looked like a shrunken down Winston Churchill. And she said, yeah, absolutely. So I used to spin around the block. He was at Princeton, you see, and we lived in Princeton, and we were right across this huge cinder lot from the college, and we were right in Albert's wingspan, and he scooped me up for some reason or other.
Do you think that had some mystical effect on the rest of your life?
I remember a shock of white hair predating Don King by half a century. I remember a twinkle in his eye and a smell. He smelled different than anything I'd ever smelled. Someday I'll walk up to somebody and say, "Hey, man, you smell like Albert Einstein."
Wow.
That's
To
amazing,
infinity
man.
and beyond.
And that's when it started, huh?
Yeah. I have to ask you about how you got your name. When I heard you got your name from B.B. King, I was like, is there no end to the wonder in this guy's life? And this is like a long after the story goes by.
After Woodstock, we went to Texas to do the Texas Pop Festival. And I was like laying on the stage, babbling into a microphone when people came running up saying, B.B. King is here with his bus. He's going to play for free. Could we clear the stage, please? And I was getting up kind of slow. It was just before one of my multitudinous back surgeries when I felt this hand on my shoulder, and I looked up, and there was B.B. King. And he looked down at me and just said, "You Wavy Gravy." And I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Well, you Wavy Gravy, I can work around you." And he leaned me up against his amplifier, took out his guitar named Lucille, and he played until sunrise. And I've been Wavy Gravy ever since.
So you seem to have this superpower where you inspire people to just give of themselves for free, and everything just works out. It's like Jesus multiplying loaves and fishes. I'm like, this is what he's really, the free kitchen, you know, like, that's B.B. King. He's like, we're going to play for free, and then he plays till sun up. Like, it's like your
wife,
superpower.
then Bonnie Jean, ran the free kitchen with Lisa Law and Peter Whiterabbit at Woodstock. We're talking there.
Yeah.
And we got everybody to pitch in and share the labor. And so it just flowed and glowed.
Yeah, but your intentionality from the beginning, it seems, is like so focused from the village and when you were a poet and every stage along the way.
An old clown. A clown is a poet who is also an orangutan. That's Kurt Vonnegut said that. One of my heroes.
Yeah, for sure. It's amazing. Can you tell about, I love the story that you told in the movie about the teepee that I guess you guys had set up for people that had taken too much hallucinogens, and some guy came in and you straightened him out. Can you tell that story?
Yeah, somebody would come in babbling, and we'd lay them out in the trip teepee and talk them down. And then when they were ready to rock and roll, we said, "Hold it. You see that sister coming through the door with her toes in her nose? That was you 3 hours ago. Now you're the doctor. Take over." And in that way, the scene regenerated itself and everybody took turns.
Oh, man. That's the best right there. That's community.
That's
community.
It.
Yep. That's give back.
Community.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And we're one of the oldest ones, the hog farm, because we were given a mountaintop rent-free if we would slop 40 hogs, one of which we later ran for president. Her name was Pegasus, and she was the first female black and white candidate for that high office.
No, you're not joking either. That's the best part.
And we toured with that pig.
Wow.
We had brought the pig to New York for Christmas and dubbed her the Yule Hog.
Christmas pig.
And we're at, what was the name of that magnificent club in New York? Oh, the Electric Circus. That's what it was.
Yeah.
And we were there with the pig, and she loved it. As long as we could keep her in pudding. We brought a huge vat of chocolate pudding, and we proceeded to dispense pudding to everybody that came by until finally at bottom, this guy showed up at the microphone. He was all covered with pudding, his whole head. He said to me, "I've seen the bottom of the pudding." And I believed him.
Well, it's important that you were there to help people talk each other down, because in that time,
sure.
and there was so much taking too much every now and then, going a little too heavy too fast, so you needed to balance it out.
We said, well, guess what? You took some acid, some LSD, and guess what? It's going to wear off. And they'd say, thank you.
Well,
and hold it. When they're ready to rock and roll, we said, hey, did you see that sister coming through the door with her toes in her nose? That was you 4 hours ago. Now you're the doctor. Take over. And so that way the scene regenerated itself in a glorious way.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love the quote that you said. I'm going to try to remember it now. When you're really down low and you see someone else that's lower than you and you reach down and you help them up, you said, that's everything right there. That's like... I
have seen the bottom of the pudding.
Oh, boy. What's that you're holding? Can you tell us about what you have in your hand right there?
This is my little actar. It's a one-stringed instrument from India. It's a tiny one, though. And I plunk away at it. And wouldn't it be neat if the people that you meet had shoes upon their feet and something to eat? And wouldn't it be fine now if all humankind had shelter, basic human needs, basic human deeds, doing what comes naturally down in the garden where no one is apart, deep down in the garden of your heart. And so it goes.
Yeah. See, all you need
Could
is one
we have
string.
the next slide, please?
That's great.
So where are you guys from?
In the New York area, right outside. I'm down in the Village all the time, where you used to run around.
The Cement Apple.
The Cement Apple is right.
I adore it.
Yeah, it's
I
nice to look.
involved in the Cement Apple at the Gaslight,
Yeah,
and I used to run the poetry readings. And then we had a terrible difficulty talking John Mitchell into segueing into folk music. I said, come on, John. I made all my money with poetry. Come on, John, let's just try a little folk music. And so it came to pass.
Wow. That's incredible. Did you used to play the Thunder Machine with Kesey and all the guys?
That was Ron Boise built the Thunder Machine. But yeah, I used to adore it. We would occasionally pop into our life and illuminate. It was quite a device made of metal and imagination.
Those must have been fun times, huh? At the acid tests and hanging with the pranksters and
yeah, well, for sure.
Yeah, I thought. Now, did I see something where you said you were doing light shows for different bands at a certain point?
Well, we had a light show. Yes, it was called the Single Wing Turquoise Bird, and it was part of our traveling dance. We also came with a large swine named Pegasus, who was the first female black and white candidate for president.
Amazing.
And she was adorable.
Someone said you did lights for Hendrix and all these different bands.
Jimmy, yes, Jimmy. Whoops, Jimmy. It was amazing.
Is that in that same acid test period?
Well, he played the national anthem, Jimmy did. And I run this children's camp these days called Winter Rainbow.
Yeah,
it's a circus and performing arts camp. And every morning we wake the kids up with Jimmy playing the Star Spangled Banner.
Oh.
And they run out of their teepees and have a pillow fight.
How many campers do you have there at a time?
150 at a time. We have 17 teepees in a circle.
Wow.
And it's extraordinary. It's a circus and performing arts camp. Kids learn juggling and tightrope and trapeze and theater and dance and everything from Shakespeare to Thelonious Monk.
God, that sounds like heaven.
Yeah, I told my wife, I was like, our kids have got to go to that camp one year. We're in Florida. I was like, we're just going to fly over there and stay because they have to experience that. It looks amazing. It looks amazing.
We have many kids from all over the planet. They come even from France and Asia.
Wow.
Because we've been doing it for so long,
Yeah. How did the camp start? Did it grow out of
years now?
How did the camp start? Did it grow kind of out of the hog farm philosophy, or?
No, it was me and a dude named Sirius Singer, who we just put a camp together, and we called it Winter Rainbow because that was what we wanted to do.
That's remarkable.
And
yeah.
It just grew out of that. And then it became kids who learned to ride a unicycle or tightrope or trapeze, or our theater department went everything from improvisation to Shakespeare. And our dance department went from jazz to hip hop to you name it. And it was glorious, and it still is. Every summer.
What's up, everybody? This is Mike, and today's show is sponsored by Sunset Lake CBD, a Vermont hemp farm crafting affordable CBD products designed to help with stress and sleep without breaking the bank.
Sunset Lake CBD is a majority employee-owned hemp farm located just outside of one of our favorite places, Burlington, Vermont. For years, Sunset Lake was a dairy farm producing milk for Ben & Jerry's ice cream. We had them on the podcast. In 2019, they diversified and started growing hemp for CBD.
And Sunset Lake CBD crafts products with hemp grown on their family farm and ships them directly to the customer, cutting out all the cost associated with getting on the shelves at stores. They have CBD products for every occasion and offer tinctures, salves, edibles, coffee, smokables, and even for that anxious dog of yours, they have pet products.
Ooh, I need to get some for my dog that's barking all the time. But I'll tell you this, I use these. The Sour Bears.
So good.
They are CBD gummies. I literally, no joke, I take these every night. They help me sleep. And it's almost bedtime.
Yep. And I still, as said it before, I'll say it again. You go to a long show, you come home, my 42-year-old ankles are not what they used to be. And I rub that salve all over them and put them up, enjoy a nice cocktail, and just let it ooze right into those sore bones. And you know what, folks? All you Comes a Time fans, if you check them out at sunsetlakecbd.com and use promo code TIME, T-I-M-E, you'll get 20% off all products. That's sunsetlakecbd.com. Use promo code TIME, 20% off all products. Sunset Lake CBD, farmer-owned, Vermont-grown. Thank you.
Get you some.
No. How long is the camp for?
Kids go for 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
There's actually a 1 week session for kids who have never been to sleepaway before. Then we do 4 2-week sessions, one after the other. And at the end of every 2-week session, the kids put on a show for their parents. And the parents come and see all the different stuff. And, we give them a chance to juggle with their kid or walk a tightrope or swing on a trapeze. And it's a thrill and a spill. And one thing after another. That's how we do it.
Do you still do the one part of the camp that's for adults?
We do 1 week for adults and 8 weeks for kids. And it's a one week session for kids who have never been to sleepaway, and then 4 2-week sessions with a big show at the end of every 2-week session.
Wow.
You have my favorite quote about the adult camp in the interview I was listening to. You said, "We do one camp for adults because it's never too late to have a happy childhood."
Yes, this is correct.
That's one of our favorite sayings here.
Yes.
It comes time.
I think there needs to be a teepee for people who haven't taken enough LSD, and get them in there and say, "Hey, it's time to take some and lighten up a little bit."
The children, we always say the acid.
No, not for kids. No, for the adults.
The acids in the oranges. Ascorbic, that is.
Man, please tell a little bit about your time in the Army. Because when I found out about that, I was like, okay, how is that going to work?
Me? Oh, God, what did I do? They taught me Morse code. That was naughty. I'm not translating that. We'd get in serious trouble. But yeah, whenever I hear horns in New York, I always try to figure what they're trying to say to me. Beep, beep, it.
It was
Roger, I got it, which is yes. Da-da-da. Da-da-da is over to you.
Wow. That's amazing.
Da-da-da, that's K, which means over.
You still remember it.
Could we have the next slide, please?
Well, I thought you told a story about you were painting the mess hall or something, and you got the paint all over your fatigue, so then you ended up looking probably pretty psychedelic.
Guess what army are you in, soldier? Yours, sir.
General Buster.
I used to, it was like Michelangelo in the Sistine Chapel. I'd be on a slab up over the steam table, painting a giant Army infantryman's badge and dripping paint down on the roast beef. Oh God, those were those days.
Wow.
And that was before the acid, right?
Yep, that was early on.
Yeah.
Early on. My first, of course, thrill was going for walks around the block with Albert Einstein.
Yeah, what a way to start. Did you have to go overseas with the Army, or were you here?
No, I was overseas.
Yeah.
I was in, where was I? First I was here, and then I was there. Whoosh.
Yeah. And then you came back.
And then, yeah, so they say. Yes, but it was very good for me. And, I learned a Morse code. I was that Morse code operator. And they would parachute me into a firefight, and I would do Morse code.
Wow.
Those were those thrilling days, and I can, whenever I hear horns go, I always say, "What are they saying? What are they saying?" Did-da-da. Want to hear Wavy? Da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
That's Wavy and Morse.
That's Wavy and Morse code.
B is da-da-da-da. B for victory. Da-da-da-da. Ask me anything, and I'll talk to you in code.
Well, speaking of V, can you tell us a little about Seva?
SEVA is a Sanskrit word that for service for humankind, and we work in curable and preventable blindness. 80% of the people in the world that are blind do not need to be blind. And so we have raised money, and I put on concerts all over the world to raise money to surgery. It takes maybe 15 minutes for somebody who is blind to have eye surgery, cataract surgery, and no longer be blind anymore. Because we'd remove the cataracts and we'd sew in little interocular lenses into their eyeballs. And one of the highest moments in my life was actually watching that from up close. Seeing somebody who was blind be not blind anymore. And it's so easy to get artists to perform. Hey, how'd you like to do a concert for blind people not to bump into shit anymore? And I never get turned down. It's always a question of timing, of course, if they can squeeze it into their schedule. But if I don't get them then, I'll get them later.
Who did the first benefit? Seva benefit.
Who did the first one?
Wasn't it the Dead?
Maybe, yeah, of course it was the Grateful Dead. And the good old Grateful Dead, yeah. And Bill Graham was beside him. Why? A benefit? Why am I the last to find out these things? God damn it. And then I'm standing backstage with Jerry's roadie, Steve Parrish. And Bill comes by and hands me a slip of paper, and I look at it, and it's a check for $10,000 for Save. I said, Bill, why are you doing this? Because you did not hit on me, my friend. So there it is.
Because you didn't ask. Amazing.
Thanks, Bill.
Yeah, thanks, Bill.
That's amazing. We've Steve Parrish has hung out with us a couple times. We love him. He's got a memory. Like, you guys have such great memories, and it's so important that you do, because all these experiences are so colorful and so important to hear about. You know, talking to him is like an encyclopedia. It's amazing.
I know, Steve. I tried to get him to do colleges. We could go and do colleges, and he could. He's got all that interesting dead lore that he could share with the multitudes, and he's good at it.
He really is.
And it would be such fun, you know, and we do it a little bit, but someday I'm just going to keep pestering him.
We hope you guys do it. Do you remember when you first got, when first catching up with the Grateful Dead and all of that?
Oh my God. Yeah, it goes all the way back to the early acid tests. And they barely knew they were the Grateful Dead. It was the Warlocks and stuff like that. And then they became the Grateful Dead. And the wonderful Pigpen.
Yeah.
Oh, God. And Pigpen and Janice together. Oh, melt your mind. It was the best.
It's all you hear about with Pigpen, about how sweet of a person he was and how gentle and shy and all of that. And then he gets up on stage and he was the front man and he belted it out.
Yeah, he sure did. And you could take the paint off the hood of the car, just blowing it out there. But the glorious thing was when him and Janice combined their larynxes to belt it as one. The two became one, and it was glorious.
Can you talk a little bit about that Watts acid test? Because when I watched that part or listened to that part of your interview, I didn't realize that literally fires were still burning from the Watts riots when you guys did that. It sure was.
It sure was. And there we were. And we had the teepees and all. And we had 17 teepees, all different colors. And people popped out, and the fire was in the center, and it was all grooving. And everybody just took a piece of it, and we set up the free kitchen. So people took turns cooking and eating, and it was like we were all one organism or orgasm or both.
So all along the way, you're always doing this thing that's
all along
giving.
the watchtower.
Yeah. I love this quote you said about, I guess it's when the hog farm maybe went on the road, and you said, we were happy to sign on to the spaceship to make energetic progress towards the good. And it just hit me so hard because it's so intentional.
Something to do. And it was good grief. And it was glorious. And we had a black and white pig to lead us named Pegasus. He was the first candidate for president. The first black and white candidate, anyhow.
How do you pronounce?
Rock for president and a roll for vice president, so you could always eat the vice president as the roll kept changing. That was after the pig. Then came the rock and the roll.
Oh man. What were you going to ask, Gotil? Did you have something that...
You know, if I had known better and known more ahead of time, I would have asked if how do you pronounce your wife's name?
Jahanara.
Jahanara.
Jahanara. Da.
Or short for Ja.
Ja, yes, Ja. And she's the girl from the North Country.
She's amazing. She really is amazing. In the documentary, the two of you together, I was like, oh man, should have had both of them on.
Yeah,
we've got over half a century together, and we ain't going nowhere. I mean, it's just the days dwindle down and dwindle up and down, and here we go. Touch my cape.
Touch my cape. That's right. If you think about the camp, the free kitchen, the hog farm, think about folks now. Maybe someone who's listening to this that wants to reach out and help others, help their fellow man. As someone who's been doing it for decades, what advice would you give someone who wants to serve others and get on that spaceship?
Just like Ralph Edwards said, does everything. Do it. Them that does it is it. And put your good where to do the most. Exactly. Yum Dalila.
Put your good where you do the most.
It's never too late to have a happy childhood.
The good where it does the most is a Kesey quote that Wavy has adopted and really kept going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It reminds me a lot of Ram Dass too.
Did you know Ram?
Yeah, he's in Hawaii now.
No, he's
where?
He's passed.
Oh God, he's gone to heaven.
Yeah.
It seems like he's always been there.
Yeah.
He was there for a long time.
His guru, the Nim Karoli Baba, I used to call Popeye.
Popeye.
Did you? You called him Popeye?
Like Popeye, you know?
Yeah, he did.
Except Popeye didn't wear a dhoti. But,
you wrote a beautiful haiku when Jerry died too, huh?
Oh, the fat man rocks out, hinges fall off heaven's door. Come on in, says Bill.
That's beautiful.
I like that one. That was a good one.
That really was a good one. Yeah. And it came out when everyone was so, sad and so, but it was just the next step for him, right? To go back up and hang with Bill.
Absolutely.
Well,
and,
did you have a close relationship with Jerry?
Everybody else, because we'll be there eventually.
Yeah, we will be. Did you have a close relationship with Jerry?
I did. And we used to talk art most of the time whenever we'd get together. I'm trying to remember who particularly. I can't. Jesus, come on, Waves. It's Jerry and I used to talk about this wonderful artist whose name escapes me at the moment. I can't remember everything. Sometimes it all turns into chocolate and starts running out my ears and nose and, and mouth and other orifices. Too fierce to mention.
What was it like when you saw that scene growing to arenas and football stadiums and all of that? Was that something that did you shy away from those? Did you go to those? Did it get a little too big?
No, we used to work the lines going in and stuff and get stuff going before it even went inside. It was in the working our way along as doing stuff with people as they emerged until they went inside the venue. There was just glorious stuff happening in the lines outside.
And don't forget the children's room.
And yes, we backstage we set up a place where the dead and their friends could park their kids. And we had some of the most amazing bingo games with all the kids and glorious prizes. I always had a budget where I could go out and look up the hottest new toys, and the kids would come in, the backstage kids, and they'd take a look at what's up for grabs, and they would be riveted to the bingo game. And the parents, come on, don't you want to listen to some music? No, wait just a minute, Mommy. B-17. glorious bingo games for great prizes, because I had a super budget, and I would go into the toy store and find the coolest stuff that nobody ever saw yet, all brand new.
That's so cool.
We talked to some of the kids that were in those rooms, and man, they have great memories of it. It's
of course
golden, wonderfully golden, as everything you seem to touch. It's amazing.
You are forever young, and that room seems so full of such cool stuff.
Yes.
Are you a collector of things from the past back there?
That was my job. I would have a budget, and I would go into toy stores and find out what is the coolest stuff of the moment, and I would get it. So their parents would go, "Don't you want to come and hear some music?" "No, we're playing bingo, Mom."
Look at Wavy's room a little bit to get an idea of.
Yeah, let's check that out. Thank you.
No. And this is only believe me, this is only a small amount of stuff.
We do not doubt it for 1 second.
Wow, look at that.
Oh, there's the tiny people.
Oh, wait, there's these people up there.
Oh, way up top. Yeah, okay.
Wow, look at that.
Is that Big Bird? Our videotech Eric would love to get a close up of that.
Look at that. How neat.
Come on by.
Hey, we'll take you up on that, man.
Yeah.
I'm about to head out that way soon for tour.
Amazing.
So.
Okay,
so
remember,
cool.
Kissing builds up your mouth. Old clown, fall down, go boom. It was pleasant to stroll through our collective garden.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Wavy, man. We really appreciate you taking the time with us.
Hey, it was fun, guys.